Let's look at levels of aggregation. Aggregation comes from aggregates, and aggregates are people or groups of things that come together. So what are the levels at which human beings come together? That is what is important to study in population education. In many past programs, the society or macro level has been assumed to be the nation or even the world. In other words, the macro level of society is the country, and today with technology and the internet and the shrinking world, it really is the world. That's the macro level, because today what happens in one part of the world affects what happens in another part of the world. And therefore, looking at the big picture as the world and then narrowing down is important. However, in our part of the world, the micro level still is important, and the micro level is the family. That's the lowest level on the micro scale. The family, then of course the extended family, the community, the society, and so on. So, why is the family important? Because for us, family is everything. Family is key. Family members make decisions for us. We are not dependent on the outside world making decisions for us. So looking at the macro and the micro level in our perspective is absolutely essential. If we only look at the micro and we look at what's happening in the entire world and we ignore our micro level, it's not going to help us in any way. We need to keep our micro level, the family, and from that perspective, look at the macro level, which is the nation and the world. So, in population education programs here, the important thing to note is, are we equipping young people to deal with the family and the larger world, or are we equipping them only to deal with the larger world and ignore the family? If that happens, family will eventually be lost, and that is not what we want to happen. When attention is focused on the learner, it is obvious that in many cases his world, his macro level, may not extend far beyond the boundaries. Now, this is important when we focus on content. When we are focusing on content to be taught, it is important to understand, especially in literature, that we pick stories that the young mind can associate with. There is no sense picking stories from Singapore or from Thailand because it won't make sense to the child. His micro level is his family, his community, his society, is the place where he lives. His micro level is not the family in Thailand or Singapore. And so, simply taking books from the Far East and making our students go through them is not good education practice. Our young people's micro boundaries are family, village, the society, the community. And as long as young people are taught in association with this micro level, learning will be easier and will be far better. When we do things out of practice, learning becomes an issue. Planners of population education activities must identify the level of aggregation, the type and size of the social group. In our schools, the classroom is the micro level. That's the smallest group. It may have 20 students, 50 students, 100 students, but that's the micro level. The classroom group is one group, and learning should begin from there. From that classroom setting, it should expand out to the school, the community, and so on. So what role do the policymakers and the curriculum people have as they plan these kinds of things? Keeping the classroom size, a classroom of 20 versus a classroom of 80, different things will need to be done. You can do a lot of group work with a class of 20. You can't do group work or can't do a lot of group work in a class size of 80 unless the room is really very big. And we don't have the luxury of big classrooms. So those kinds of things will need to be considered by the planners, by the policymakers, by the curriculum writers who tend to put in things in a curriculum without actually focusing on whether this is going to work and how this is going to work. Ways must be found to translate family problems into broader terms and to create an awareness today of what problems might be for others tomorrow. Issues happen in families. Families are not always happy. There will be issues, there will be problems. How do you deal with those problems? If young people can be taught problem-solving skills from the family level, they will learn to use those skills when problems come in the community, in the society, in the country, and they will be able to find solutions to those problems. The question is, are we preparing young people today? Are we preparing individuals in our schools and classrooms with problem-solving skills to help them make their future better?